Okay, so there are a lot of Johnny Walkers. No, not people that walk that are named Johnny. Technically, someone calls me Johnny, but hey, my name's John, but not Johnny. Doesn't matter. That's fine. I let her do it because she's awesome. But whiskies, I'm talking about whiskies, obviously. The point is that there's a lot of Johnny Walker whiskies, and most of their key range I'm reviewing are also the most readily available, and that's for a good reason. And their names are based on colours red, black, green, blue, and so on. But the problem with naming is that it can imply similarities. So when the double black was released, people immediately compared it to the black. Just how similar are they? Let's see what we can figure out. This is Whisky. I'm John Chidgey. Always remember to drink responsibly in moderation and where and when appropriate. Feel free to like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube and visit engineer.network/whisky without the E to learn how you can support the show. Thank you. Now, let's recap quickly on the pricing and differences between these two drinks. Well, the 700ml versions anyway. The black label at Dan's goes for $54 Australian, and the double black label at Liquorland goes for $69 Australian. So that's $15 more. Remembering that Dan's aren't currently stocking the 700ml size of double black for some reason that I have no idea. Both have a 40% ABV, both are chill filtered, and both are coloured. The black has a 12-year age statement and the double black has none, but it has to be at least 3 years to be called Scotch, obviously. Either way, it still makes the extra money for the double black somewhat confusing. Normally, I'd expect it to be the other way around. Both are blended scotches, and both are peated, but the double black is touted as being much more heavily peated than the black is. The black has been in their lineup for 100 years. I know, right? That's a while. Whereas the double black was only added about 15 years ago. Neither of the blends have a publicly disclosed quantity or list of which whiskies are used or prominent or anything really, with the black saying their whiskies are sourced from the four corners of Scotland and the double black saying their whiskies are from the west coast of Scotland, chosen for their naturally smoky flavour. Like I said in the double black review, it's generally believed that the black and double black don't share many or any significant common base whiskies in their respective blends. So, this comes down to a taste-off, and we don't have much else to go on. That's fine with me. We can ignore colour and legs, I think, because colour, it's coloured, who cares? Legs, it's chill filtered, whatever. Much like in the other reviews I've done for each of them. So I just want to focus on the nose, the palate, the mouthfeel, and the finish. And see, firstly, if one is better than the other, at least to my tastes, or if there's circumstances where you might choose one over the other. Now, I'm not going to re-rate these, I just want to be really clear. So if you want those reviews, the black review can be found here, and the double black review can be found here. So when I reviewed the black, what I noticed most on the nose was that there was a smokiness, a very subtle smokiness, and you could definitely smell the pepper, a little bit of the vanilla. The nose on the double black, much stronger smoke, much stronger, absolutely, and I can smell a bit more of the vanilla on the double black. And what I did say on the black on the palate was that there was definitely some toffee notes to it, but it was not quite as, it was a little oily, but not quite buttery. And on the palate for the double black, it was much more buttery and that sort of like creaminess and a creamy sort of a vanilla to it. So let's try quickly and revisiting the black. So this definitely has a much sweeter nose on it compared to the double black. Not as sweet, most definitely not as sweet. This is the double black. This is definitely much smokier. Okay, so the black is definitely a little bit lighter. I wouldn't say hugely lighter, but it's definitely lighter. Yeah, good vanilla, good toffee. It is creamy, but doesn't coat. It's not. It's got quite a relatively straightforward mouthfeel. It doesn't hang around a lot. It's got a pretty short finish. It is pleasant though. It is pleasant, and it's a little sweet to it. I actually think the double black has not only got a slightly nicer mouthfeel, it coats it a bit better. It's a little bit creamier. It's also got a little bit more of that that burn, a little bit of an oaky burn on it. And that peat on the finish, there is no doubt. And they mean what they say, right? They mean what they say on the website. The double black is much more peaty, that's for sure. And whereas the black is much more subdued on the peatiness side of things anyway. I mean, I'll be honest, they're both great blended scotches. They really are quite good. And if I were to pick one over the other, my vote, I'm sorry, but it still goes to the double black. I mean, the double black is just a much more interesting, scotch. If you don't like peat though, and you don't mind a teeny little bit of it, you might prefer the black. The black is also a little bit sweeter. This one's a little bit stronger, a bit more bolder in flavor. But honestly, so if you were looking at the end of the day and you had 2 bottles, which would you pick? If you wanted something that was a nice, gentle, sweet sipper, you would go for the black probably, with a teeny little bit of smoke. If you wanted something that had a little bit more oomph, a little bit more kick, and you wanted a little bit more of that smokiness, you would go for the double black. And I guess that's where I land on this. If you could only pick one, I stand with my recommendation. I would go with the double black. And obviously your mileage may vary, but ultimately, I'm so glad that this left travel retail and entered the rest of the market and now part of their core range. I don't care that it doesn't have an age statement. This stuff is good, and I do like it. And I'm sticking with my rating and my vote from 2024. So cheers. See you next time. Smokiness sells it, eh? It does.